Checking system. Checking battery. Warning, there is not enough power to activate the system. Battery connected. Activated. Executing quick charge program. Preparing to fire. Warning. System overheating. Entering cooldown mode.
One of the best, most perfect things that Resident Evil 3 got right was the reclamation of the character arc of Jill Valentine. In the original game, she wasn't a terrible character, but the fact that she was constantly being escorted by Barry Burton and getting into a bunch of shit fits that she couldn't figure her way out of, and the penultimate showdown with her and Wesker felt very underwhelming with what she was able to do. She was just doing fucking wisecracks in the remastered remake that I was playing, and I'm assuming that the original didn't exactly make the best light of her either. But when Resident Evil 3 came down, Jill Valentine was not only a capable character, but a true badass female character in her own right, which everyone's looking for, so there you got it. She was just at the wrong place at the wrong time trying to escape the situation. All she really had to her name, if you weren't playing on the easy mode, which unfortunately I did, she wasn't armored like a goddamn right-wing nutcase. She just had a pistol, she had short shorts, a halter top, and she had to get around the entire infestation of zombies that was screwing up Raccoon City left, right, and every place it is possible to be. And then, on top of that, she was also being chased down by Nemesis, which finally got his comeuppance about 10 showdowns into the game, with the showdown with Final Nemesis. Right after the last time we fought him, when he was mutating out of control, he was thrown into a sewage ditch, and obviously the sewage ditch dumps out exactly where, in the dumping site where Jill Valentine was trying to use to escape. And coincidentally, and this is my favorite part of Resident Evil 3 and one of my top 4 favorite moments from the Resident Evil franchise altogether, because in this dumping site where Final Nemesis just happens to be mutating out of control into a giant BOW crazy monster to end the game with, a researcher was also trying to build a rail cannon. Just a giant energy weapon, just using his spare time at the Umbrella facility they happened to be stumbling past. This thing had no connection to any sort of zombieism, any sort of pharmaceutical nonsense, any sort of weaponized viruses. One of the researchers just canonically happened to be excited about building a rail cannon for no fucking reason. And it's still fully optional, even though they were using this place to dump it and completely forget about it, even though it was fully functional and ended up killing Nemesis, which at the time was most likely the toughest product that the Tyrant project had ever produced. The next highest probably would have been that Tyrant at the end of Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles in the Russian facility that was able to produce cables out of his back and was about the size of 6 humans Jenga towered together into some incredibly ridiculous monster. But up until then, Nemesis was the top notch they had. And now he's mutated into a giant fleshy land shark of all things. The thing that you have to do in this boss fight, according to the file that you found on the rail cannon, is that you have to push all 3 batteries back into place, which is actually a lot easier than it sounds, because even though Final Nemesis takes up a lot of room in the arena, because it is a rectangular circle type of thing, you can basically just run around him and do what you need doing. And even if you need to work right next to him, he doesn't do a lot of contact damage because he's so slow to move, and just contacting him doesn't deal the damage, so he has to move to actually dish out anything. And the damage that he does dish out is not exactly threatening or remarkable. So at this point in the game, since if you haven't been fighting Nemesis constantly, you should have a bunch of resources on hand. Even if you just have a first aid kit or a couple herbs, you should be perfectly fine. You can easily get through this if you don't have any resources just on patience. So, you just do what you need to do, and then you'll be able to kill Nemesis. Push all 3 batteries back into place, the rail cannon charges, and then you have to get Nemesis into the specific spot. It isn't that hard to get him into place, and then run around and hit the button. The rail cannon immediately destroys Nemesis in one shot. You don't have to shoot this guy, you don't have to expend any of your ammunition on the final creature of the game. You just need to get it into place for the rail cannon. And then the cutscene that finishes him off is exactly why this is one of the best boss fights in the entire franchise, because even with the PSX graphics and the limitations that they had to work with, the final shot of Jill Valentine just capping Nemesis in the face and that one-liner she had just perfectly puts the bow on Nemesis. This crazy monster character arc that we've been following the entire game. He was defeated up in the chemical room, just mutated out of control, and has finally ended his reign and been reduced to a puddle of nonsensical flesh stuff. Jill Valentine gets to complete her character arc perfectly badass and escaping Raccoon City with the expertise and luck of Carlos, and everything just wraps up perfectly where it should have gone. This survival story ended on such a great note that I'm surprised that Resident Evil 3 doesn't get a lot more play with both Capcom and its fans. Like, did you seriously forget everything you just saw in the first 5 minutes of this video? Did that just go poof in everybody's memories? That was fucking awesome. That is the stuff that people who play Resident Evil want out of the experience. Something just perfectly that tone, the American action sort of thing, you know, the over-the-top ridiculousness of shooting rocket launchers, you know, getting the one-liners, and being able to just one-up this crazy powerful biological weapon that has been stalking you throughout the entire game. It was absolutely right on point and exactly how the game should have ended. This game was awesome. Just innovative, great tone, just story was super strong and it had great characters, and Nemesis just really amped everything up. I can't say nothing better about Nemesis. The final showdown was exactly how it should have been. It didn't have to rely on you having all these resources on hand. It didn't have a stupid difficulty curve. It wasn't like the Leech Queen fight in Resident Evil 0 where you had to work around it as stupidly as possible because it could just whip around you and deal huge damage whenever it wanted. It was easy to work around, it had a cool puzzle element, and just a nice weapon to show everything off. Cutscenes and everything included. What more could you possibly ask for?